technical difficulties this morning, so I apologize for that. I am going to try and see if this will work. I'll be reading you through it anyway, so if you can't perfectly see the screen, I'll be talking through these points. But just to introduce myself, my name is Kristen Freehill. I'm the volunteer coordinator here at Greater Muncie Habitat for Humanity. We've had just such a wonderful partnership with Ball State. So many of our volunteers come from sports teams. We've got resident services. It's quite regular year for us to have a lot of Ball State students on the job site at the Restore. This year in particular has been challenging, as I'm sure a lot of folks have shared that sentiment, but we've made a lot of efforts to ensure that we can still offer the same great volunteer experience that we always have had while keeping everyone safe. Again, I apologize if you can't see the screen. I cannot access from the computer today for some reason. So I'll just walk you through quickly some of our opportunities. We've got opportunities at the construction site. So what that entails is helping with building or rehabilitating a habitat home. Those opportunities are primarily available on Fridays and Saturdays. Usually you would sign in at 8:45 a.m. and we wrap up the workday about 3 p.m., sometimes a little earlier now that we're allowing time for sanitizing everything that we touch throughout the day. So wrap up maybe about 2 p.m. We do provide lunch to all of our volunteers. We ask that you wear closed-toe shoes, masks, and work-appropriate clothing. We also have volunteer opportunities at our Restore. This is a very flexible volunteer opportunity, which we found in the past has worked well for a lot of students with class schedules, because you can come in anytime Tuesday through Saturday, 9 to 4, and you can stay as long as is convenient for you. So if you've only got an hour, that's perfectly fine. Every little bit helps us out. You'll be assisting with our donation room primarily. So as donors drop items off, you might help with the intake of those items, cleaning them, unloading. And then there's also some shelf stocking and organizing general upkeep of the store. We're looking for a very special candidate and volunteer to assist as a crew leader and volunteer assistant. So this may be someone who's looking for a more regular volunteer opportunity, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, or Saturdays. You would help our site supervisor and our volunteer coordinator with setting up the day, with volunteer sign-in, setting up lunch and tool supplies for the volunteers. So overall, this person would just be responsible for helping us ensure that the day runs smoothly at the job site and that all of our volunteers have a great experience. And then lastly, bearing in mind that there is more of a need for some virtual opportunities, we would love to have someone who has a background in logo design or graphic design that could help us. This would be a virtual opportunity. We've got several events through the year. Women Build is coming up, that's one. Like I said, I know you probably can't see the screen really well here, so I apologize, but this is a shirt that was just designed for us. So that's the type of thing that we would be looking for with this virtual opportunity. We do volunteer appreciation events at the end of the year. We'd like to have special logos for those. We do memorial builds for certain community members, and there's just a lot of opportunity there that we have different marketing needs and graphic design needs. And that basically concludes my PowerPoint. So sorry that you couldn't see it very well, but we do have the profile up on the website that will be discussed later that kind of goes into better detail of those opportunities.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to have Second Harvest present.
Hi, and thank you for being here. If there is anyone here, I can't even tell if they're students. This is like my 4th Zoom meeting ever, so just bear with me.
Kelly, we have 19 on here right now.
Oh, awesome. Okay. All right. So if you've come to Second Harvest in the past, you'll know that you could just come whenever you wanted to, as long as it was during our operating hours. And because of COVID, we've had to change that. So currently we have our regular staff here, and then we also have the National Guard with us for at least the month of September. We don't know if they'll be here after September, but right now they're here. So there are some events posted on GivePulse for 2:30 to 4:30 in-house. So that's here in the warehouse. We also have around 30 tailgates a month that we're doing now instead of 9. So we really need to see a lot of our Ball State students out there at the tailgates. We can accommodate groups at the tailgates, but you will really need to get those scheduled as fast as you can. And if you're interested in volunteering in October and November as a group at a tailgate, you'll need to let us know as quickly as possible, because as the National Guard leave and our volunteer numbers can't support doing 30 a month, we would have to begin to cut some of the tailgates, which will be very bad. So in a regular year, we have about 27,000 volunteer hours across all of our different programs, and that's from about 4,000 different volunteers. It's important to note most of our volunteers come back. So if you need a one and done opportunity, you're welcome to come out and do that. But a lot of our volunteers just like coming back because once they know how to do it, they do it. If you need to travel to a tailgate, you can include that travel time in your impact. So if you're traveling, let's say to Wabash, or if hopefully you live close to Wabash and you can go visit your family or whatnot, or if you're virtual and you live in one of these counties, go to a tailgate. I have no idea where I was going with that. As soon as you arrive at any of our sites, either here in the warehouse or at a tailgate or one of our pantry partners, etc., you'll have to have a mask on. Just as soon as you get out of your car, put your mask on. You'll also be wearing gloves the entire time. If you're coming in here into the building, you'll be given gloves as soon as you come through the door. If you need an extra mask, we have plenty. So if maybe you touch your mask or you sneeze or something, you'll need to switch that out. You are handling food. And so it's not just COVID, it's for the safety of the food, for the people that are going to be receiving that food, that you just follow some real strict guidelines, period. When folks would come out here, a lot of the times they get lost. So I'm going to explain something. When you get here on site, you'll go through what looks like an alley, go all the way around to the very, very back of the building. There's a flagpole and an awning, and that's where you'll come in. In the past, we always had the volunteers go into the office, but we're not going to do that this year. You'll come in through the main office door, and then you'll go straight into the community room. You'll sign in. We're only taking 4 volunteers at a time for right now. And you'll each be assigned a different area of our building, and that's where you'll do your volunteering at. I can't think of anything else. So our warehouse holds about 1.25 million pounds of food at a time, and we'll probably turn that over 8 to 10 times this year alone. So a lot of food. Most of it's going to need to be sorted. That's a lot of what the volunteers do. A lot of cleaning. We have standards that we have to meet just because it is food and it's a massive amount of food. So that's mostly what volunteers will be doing here in-house. If there are virtual opportunities that come up, those will be scheduled with specific professors, and then they'll learn more about what the opportunity is from their professor. I see more of those for us in the spring than I do in the fall, just because we have to set them all up. So we did a lot with the nutrition classes, with video making. So there'll be some virtual opportunities, but right now I don't have them listed. Does anyone have any questions?
Kelly, I think we're going to do questions at the end.
Oh, right on. Okay. I'm nervous. I'm sorry.
No,
Okay.
you're okay. You're okay. We just want to make sure that we have time for all the agencies to speak before we open up to questions.
Okay, fantastic. And if we have any volunteers that want to volunteer with us and then they get interested, we'll always let the other, like our pantry partners, if you guys just let me know what your hours are, I can make sure that they get a hold of you as well. Okay, that's it. I have nothing else.
Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate
You're welcome.
it. Okay, next we're going to have A Better Way presenting.
Hi. Yes, thank you so much. Thanks for inviting us. I know it's a new format for many, but I actually love it because it just gives us all an opportunity to present. So I'm Tony Bond, and I'm the volunteer coordinator for A Better Way Services here in Muncie. And the lovely part of Zoom, you can see my cat in the back, my big fat cat. So anyway, I just wanted to say that we have several types of opportunities for volunteers at A Better Way. We have our children's services volunteers, and those would be people who would come in and work with our children who are in care or in the shelter with their families. We also have our direct service volunteers, and those would be volunteers who would come in and maybe spend time with our clients, talking with them, listening to them, playing a game, perhaps baking cookies, that sort of thing. And then we do also have indirect service volunteers, which isn't super popular with students, but we have those opportunities available where maybe you want to come and do some yard cleanup or fix some broken playground equipment and that sort of thing. So we have definitely many opportunities for students to volunteer. And we do ask, I know several of my colleagues from other organizations have talked a little bit about COVID-19. We also require mask wearing as well as social distancing, not only while they're in shelter, but as a volunteer, we also will require that outside of shelter. So that's just something to keep in mind, volunteering for A Better Way, because we do work with a very high-risk population, and we want to make sure that we keep everyone safe. So we just have a great it's very easy to set up to volunteer. We do have an application that's very easy to fill out. If you're interested, we do ask that volunteers make a weekly commitment that equals about 25 hours for the semester. That is what we are asking. We can tweak that a little bit because I know some students will not be here after Thanksgiving break. We're aware of that. But we're just really excited to get more people in. Whoever would like to volunteer, we're always in need. And I would just welcome the opportunity to talk to anyone about volunteering at A Better Way, just because we provide so many services to not only clients of domestic violence and sexual assault, but we do have our telecare, which is outreach to our homebound individuals. And we also run a suicide hotline. So if any of that appeals to anyone that's on this Zoom meeting right now, I can answer questions about that afterwards. So thank you, Kara, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Tony. And she brings up a great point, and I'll just make a quick statement here, is that at the beginning of the session, I mentioned that we want these partnerships to be mutually beneficial. And so in this instance, to serve in a better way, there is extensive training that students have to go through, but you get to count that as your hours, which is pretty cool. So you get trained, you get those professional development pieces, and you get to count that as volunteer hours. But if you only need 8 or 10 hours of service,
right,
we're not going to recommend that you go to A Better Way, and A Better Way is going to say you should maybe go to one of the other partners because you're not going to be able to give them what they've put into you.
Right.
It's not going to be worth it in the end for them to go through all that training with you if you're not able to give larger amounts of service.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to turn it over now to Muncie Mission. I think you're still muted.
Here we are. Sorry about that. All right, I'm Shannon Bryan. I'm the coordinator for volunteers and community engagement at Muncie Mission. I'm going to share my screen. I have a little PowerPoint. And let's see if I can get that going here. Slow. Okay, does that look all right? Okay, so we're Muncie Mission Ministries, And our motto or our goal is to, the Muncie Mission provides immediate and long-term compassionate rescue services to the poor and needy of East Central Indiana. We have been in business, or we've been around for 90 years. This is our 90th year. Primarily, we're known as serving men in our emergency 30-day shelter. We have a 12 to 18-month addiction recovery program and 1 to 3 year program of transitional housing. We serve those men here in Muncie. We also serve women, and our outlet for that is in Alexandria. And it's a 12 to 18-month transitional program for women and children coming out of either prison or a recovery program, so transitional housing. We also serve families here on the Liberty Street campus in Muncie with our community meal Monday through Friday at 12:30. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have pantry and family services that give vouchers for clothing, household items, and utility assistance. So all of those are opportunities for students to engage with the mission. So we do that through social enterprise and recycling. So I just want to let you know that the New Life Center is an area that volunteers, residents, and employees work together, sorting through donations. And last year in 2019, we recycled 266,000 pounds of paper, 262,000 pounds of metals, and 510,000 pounds of cardboard. So volunteers, again, helped with that, our residents and of course employees. So that's a big area that people work in, and we really appreciate people that come and help there. And also those donations go into our thrift stores, the attic window, and we have volunteers that help in those areas too. So I just want to highlight that last year volunteers from Ball State were a great help. In total, our community gave over 7,000 hours of service in 2019. Ball State students were a 1/4 or 25% of those volunteers. So I went on to Give Pulse and did a little bit of calculating. And I figured between our numbers and your numbers, because we don't always capture everybody through Give Pulse, we try really hard to push people towards that. But 25% is a lot. And if you look up the independent sector values the volunteer time at around $27 an hour, and that's just kind of across the board. So Ball State volunteers gave over $47,000 in wages towards the mission in volunteer time. So I think that's really significant. Of course, we know that this year is really different, and we hope to see the numbers up high then, but I just wanted you to see how great that was. So we really appreciate our volunteers. And that allows for creating new beginnings in our community. So we really appreciate that. This is a class of our graduates last year, from our men's program. So again, I'm Shannon Bryan, and you can connect with me directly, but I encourage you to connect through Give Pulse for a variety of opportunities. I'm going to stop sharing and just kind of talk for a minute very quickly. But yeah, so we have opportunities again in the stores, in administration. We have opportunities in serving food. Just a variety of opportunities. We're flexible in that you can do it as a group, you can come one person, and we're beginning to offer a few virtual. I actually submitted a virtual one today, and I'm looking into another way that we can help students virtually serve the Muncie mission. So really glad to be a part of this, and just really grateful for the opportunities that Ball State provides through students.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that information. We're going to, our last agency we're going to hear from is going to be Inside Out. Again, after the agencies are done, I'm going to briefly show you how to log on to Give Pulse to get signed up and add your impacts. And then we're going to open it up for questions to the agencies. Again, agencies, if the students don't seem to have questions right away, I'd love to hear from you what some of those FAQs are from our students. Okay, Inside Out, thank you. Angelica, whenever you are ready.
I'm having a hard time getting it to go to the center. All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. My name is Angelica Lastly, and I work with Inside Out and Fresh Directions. For those of you who met me before, you know, new normal, but the fruit hair is still happening, and the fun is still happening. So I would like to invite you to come and join our fun. What do we do? Inside Out is a community development organization that works to build community through food initiatives. Our main program is Fresh Directions, and we have traditionally served after-school meals and snacks to kids at community centers. So we partner with centers that are already providing tutorial services and life skills support services to kids in our community. And then we provide healthy food options for those kids. And why do we do that? Because kids eat lunch at 11, and they often don't go home until 4:30 or 5. And that's a really long time for a kid to be hungry. So we chose to partner with those organizations serving the kids in our community to provide food security for those kids. But then COVID-19 happened, and everything that was happening changed very quickly. And as an organization, we saw a new need in our community, and that was a group of people that were families that were food insecure because suddenly there was higher unemployment. They were having to take paid leave or unpaid leave for things like quarantine periods or their kids being sick. There was a rising food cost because suddenly stores were empty. And as an organization, we said, hey, we can meet that need too. So along with continuing to provide meals for after-school programs, we've also added an element of providing community meals to families in need, and those go directly from our building to the community. Over the course of quarantine, we served over 21,000 meals, and we are continuing that food effort. So what do we need as an organization? We need hands, because it takes a lot of hands and a lot of man hours to produce and box and deliver over 300 meals a day. And so we require the hands of people who are willing to do that. Our primary need for student volunteers is people who would be willing to do it in person. But we understand that a lot of people are out and cannot necessarily offer that. So we are also asking for people who would provide virtual support through things like social media, through food education, and through graphic design to help us with our efforts in the community. Traditionally, SVS has provided transportation at least a couple of days a week for volunteers. And I know that that is not happening this year. So if you are a student on campus and you are saying, wait, I can't get there, I can tell you that the MITS bus goes by every hour. I watched it go by during our meeting. So if you are brave enough to get on the MITS bus, it will drive you right to the front of the building here on the corner. So if you still would like to participate, that is an option. So questions people often ask are, when do we do this? Our time for food prep is Monday through Friday from 1 to 3. And there's about 15 minutes of travel time each direction, and we do allow you to include that as part of your time. And then we are currently serving 6 days a week because the need is just that high. So if you can't come during the week, but you would really like to come on a Saturday, we also offer opportunities on Saturdays from 2:30 to 5. And the kinds of things we would ask you to do would be basic food preparation. If you don't have any cooking experience, that's really just okay. I can teach you. You won't be asked to prepare anything alone or to do it unsupervised. Per Board of Health requirements, and like a lot of the other agencies, we are taking all of the precautions possible to make our area a COVID-friendly and COVID-free place. So you will be required to mask, glove. We will also take your temperature. And we would ask that if you are participating in any kind of in-person activity and you feel the least bit ill, please don't come, because we would like you, as well as everyone we are serving, to stay safe.
Thank you so much for sharing. And one thing that I've been sharing during classroom presentations is that each of our agencies that are here with us today at the fair, in agencies who have information listed, opportunities listed on Give Pulse. So if there's an opportunity listed for them, all those agencies have signed the Cardinals Care Partner Pledge. We are only giving access to Give Pulse to agencies who have signed that. It's going to be similar to the Cardinal Care Pledge that you were asked to sign as a student. And basically it's asking the agencies to follow all federal, state, local, and CDC guidelines, as well as Ball State guidelines. So please know that these agencies are working to follow those guidelines, and these are agencies that are committing to that. So thank you, bring up a great point. Okay, at this time I'm going to quickly share my screen. And I'm going to show you how to go ahead and log those impacts and sign up for opportunities. Okay, it's going to look like I'm kind of looking off into the distance. It's because that is the screen that it's pulled up on, and so I need to be able to see it. But if you go to the Ball State website, you search for the Office of Student Life, you're going to find Binny Link is where you're going to find information about student organizations, and Give Pulse is where you're going to find information about volunteering. So once you select that, you're going to be brought to this page. Please sign in with your Ball State credentials, so your Ball State email and your Ball State password. And then you're going to be able to scroll down here, and you can search for any type of event you want. You can literally just select this and see any virtual or remote options. You can also type in person or virtual. You can type in-person food, and that will bring up a lot of these agencies. I'm going to select this right here. This is a tailgate for Second Harvest. It's one that's posted here. So if you look at that and that looks interesting to you, something you'd like to do, you can select it. It's going to load here momentarily, and you'll be able to learn more about it on this page. So you can find the date, the times. If this looks like something you're interested in doing, make sure you're reading the requirements. You're going to come in here and select the green register button. From here, make sure you're taking note of this kind of golden box. This is any requirements that the agency might have. Second Harvest is having you fill out some additional information here, so make sure that you are completing that. That's a requirement of signing up. We have our waivers on here. Make sure that you're selecting them. They're hyperlinked. Read them, select that you've read them, and then click the continue button. I'm not going to hit that because that would make me sign up for it, but that is how you get signed up. It's that simple. For these in-person opportunities that are happening on a very specific date and specific time, you're going to get a reminder 24 hours before you do your service that says, don't forget, you have your service tomorrow that you signed up for. And then after your service, you're going to get an email sent out to you, and it's going to say, Kara, did you go and do your service? And you're going to do a click yes, and it's automatically going to log those hours for you. It's incredibly easy. Now, if you are signing up for some virtual opportunities or some independent opportunities that don't have set dates and times, you're just working with the agency to determine when it would be best for you to come in, you're going to come back to the home screen and click the green Add Impact button. Here you're going to search for the agency. I'm going to search for Second Harvest in this instance. We're using them as our example. Here you're going to list if it was part of an event. You're going to list the date or a range of dates that you did the service, the number of hours you did. You can rate your experience here, and then you're going to click Add Impact. It's that simple to get signed up. If you are Let me go back here. If you are doing service, some of our students ask questions. If you're doing service with an agency that isn't listed in Give Pulse, but you have required hours, maybe you're back home and you're doing service, you can click this blue Can't Find It button, and you're just going to go ahead and input the information for the agency that you're doing service with. So keep that in mind as well. One thing that I have been sharing with folks is that if you are asked to do, if you're signed up to do virtual service and it is you doing research or marketing materials or things of that nature, don't log your hours as you're doing them. Log your hours after you've completed the project and sent it to the agency, so that way they know, oh yeah, okay, they've completed this project. I can approve their hours. I know they've done this service. You're going to want to make sure that you're communicating with the agency, especially if you're doing virtual hours, on what their expectations are. So ask questions, send them emails. If you sign up and give Pulse, students, it's your responsibility to reach out to the agency to ask questions. If you sign up for opportunities that are independent, where you're going to have to coordinate with them on when you come in, you have to reach out to the agencies. They get a lot of students signing up through them. They also get a lot of phone calls. They also get a lot of emails on top of their regular jobs. So make sure that you are reaching out to them. Okay, at this time, I am going to go ahead and mute myself and open it up to questions for the students. If you have a question for our agencies, just unmute yourself and go ahead and ask. Looks like Cora asked a question, do we sign up for Inside Out via Give Pulse or should we email? And I'll start that answer, and then Angelica, if you want to finish it. So you need to sign up via Give Pulse. That's going to be how all of our Ball State students do sign up for volunteer opportunities. It's going to be the way that we ask that you track your hours, but then you can also email Angelica as well. So I'll open up to Angelica to clarify any of that.
If you are signing up for a regular weekly participation, sign up through Give Pulse, sign up through SVS. If you would like to schedule something that's independent or virtual and is aside from that standard SVS commitment, please don't hesitate to email me personally. My email is available on the SVS Give Pulse website. Please let me know and we can schedule something that suits what you need.
Thank you. I'm going to, in the chat section, I'm going to go ahead and put information for student voluntary services. I'm going to put our email address in there. So if you, whenever we get done with this session, if you have questions and you need to get those answered, you can email us. We do monitor that email daily. And then I'm going to encourage our agencies to go ahead and list any information there that you'd like to share with students, so any contact information. And I'm going to list, also list the URL for Give Pulse if you don't want to have to go to the Ball State website. It takes you to the same place. Other questions? Well, we will stay, myself and the agencies, we will stay on the call until 11:45. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to stay on the call. You can type them in, or you can unmute yourself and ask those questions. If you have questions about how to use Give Pulse, I can put you in a breakout room with one of our graduate assistants who's on the call. So please make sure that you are reaching out to us. But we really appreciate you being here, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Agencies, what were our thoughts? Did you like this format? Is there anything that you need from me to make this run smoother for you for the afternoon? Any questions, concerns?
Well, this is Tony.